The Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has warned construction mafia groups against disrupting the N2 and N3 upgrades in KwaZulu-Natal. Speaking during a site visit, Creecy emphasized that any interference would not be tolerated as she assessed the progress of the key infrastructure projects in the province. But for more on this, let's speak now to the department's spokesperson, Mr. Collen Msibi. Mr. Msibi, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. A massive project that we're looking at here, a 50 billion rand project on the N2 and N3. I want to talk a little bit about what you hope the project will achieve, firstly, and where you are with it. So let's talk about the project in and of itself.
Good morning and thanks for having us. Look, the project is quite an important one, given the issue of the congestion going to the port of Durban, but also the issue of N2 going to the south of Durban. It's been a problem. So we're hoping that the expansion of that stretch of road is going to obviously allow traffic to flow much easier. But secondly, the issue of the link between the port of Durban and Gauteng, which is an important corridor for the economy of the country, it is going to really assist in that regard, including linking the country with the continent, especially the SADC region. So it's quite an important one, but also in terms of job creation, quite a lot of SMMEs are involved in that project, as well as the issue of training of youth who are coming out of universities and EFTs and all sorts of colleges are going to benefit out of those two projects. So it is quite an important one in terms of the strategic projects of the country.
Yeah, because I mean, you talk about who benefits from it, and I think that's going to be an important thing, because when we talk about a budget as big as 15 billion rand, you've got ears pricked already, that's for sure. And then there's going to be the question around whether or not you have made that 30% allocation, right? That Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act 30% allocation, if that is in place, so that you're able to then answer that to those that do come wanting a piece of the pie.
Yes, of course. I think the issue has been when we started these projects, there's been an issue about the Black Business Forums who were fighting to be part of this particular project. So we've had to create structures where we are able to engage with them and where we involve them. So at this point, we seem to have won the battle. They are part of it. They are being consulted, even though they are sporadic incidents. For instance, in Cato Ridge, there are some people who were arrested because they were interfering with the site. But there's very minimal disruptions at this point in terms of those projects. So we are quite confident that the work will be done smoothly.
I'm keen to hear about those disruptions that you have seen and what they've looked like, right? Because certainly something would have led to the Transport Minister needing to make this call to say, you know, issuing that stern warning to construction mafia groups against blocking or disrupting. So what are the incidents that you have seen that have been a red flag for the department? What have they looked like? How many have they been? Have they been violent?
Well, I would say I wouldn't categorize them specifically. Those are the details that the province can provide, Sandra. But there's been issues, obviously, where they would stop or they would intimidate the workers on site and would have to practically stop the construction. And there are cases, as we speak, that are in court where those who were involved are being prosecuted. But also, we would find that when we go outside of the N3, N2, when we do the Valazonke projects, when we go to communities, they would find that there are those kind of disruptions where when we have to fix the potholes and then some leaders in the local communities, they would come and disrupt that kind of work. So it does, I think Central does face that kind of a challenge. Especially because the Valazonke project, you have to assist the provinces and the municipalities to fix their potholes. So when they go there, they are disrupted. It basically means that the work doesn't continue and you continue to have those potholes. So it's a number of, it's a buffet of problems when it comes to those kind of disruptions. But what it means is that work cannot continue just because somebody is saying, you cannot operate until I get involved.
Yeah.
But you must understand that you need to have the the skills, the requisite skills to be part of such projects. And SANRAL runs a thorough process to ensure that there is involvement even of the SMMEs to be part of those projects.
Yeah, you know, this is where this issue of construction mafia versus business forums, I think, really becomes quite difficult, because obviously there's going to be, you know, calls that are made for, and one of the questions I was obviously going to ask you was about police visibility on this particular project on the N2 and N3, if that's what you need to protect the infrastructure and the work that's being done there. But this is where it gets particularly difficult, Mr. Msibi, is where you do have a community coming forward and say, well, we want a piece of the pie. At what point does it become criminal? So at what point do you say, well, let's have a discussion with the community, and when does it become a mafia and not a forum, right? So when do you say, now we need law enforcement intervention?
Look, honestly, there is structures which have been created by SANRAL to engage with communities. And there is, in fact, a project that they call Taking SANRAL to the People, so that we are able to explain and to train some of these business forums and the small companies. But when it comes a bit violent or it becomes physical, and that's when it really can be categorized as criminal, and that's where the police would have to come in. But of course, in these sites, we do have security so that we are able to ensure that we secure these sites. So I would answer your question in the sense that, I mean, we don't just barge into somebody's area. We've got to consult with communities. For instance, where there's traditional leadership involved, we do consult, we engage with the leadership, and then of course they bring in the community so that they are part of this. But as soon as then we don't want to risk the lives of our workers. Of course, where it becomes too physical, there's issues of violence, threat of violence, then it becomes a police matter and it has to be reported to the police. Okay,
but do tell me which community structures have benefited from the project and in what form?
Because I said that the 30% you're talking about, for instance, in the N2 and 3, there's about, I would say, more than 10 billion rand, which is going to the small businesses. So there's a structure, a political oversight structure also, which has been established so that there's an involvement of the Black Business Forum. So there's benefits that they are now getting. As I say, in total, out of this 50 billion, more than 10 billion rands is actually going to the SMMEs. And in terms of job creation for local communities now, we're talking about the salaries or the wages that are going to come out. I think we're talking in the region of about 6 billion rands that's going to go to the communities in those specific areas. So it's quite a huge benefit. Hence, work is now proceeding. We have about 16 packages. So it has been packaged in a certain way, the N3. As you can see, the in terms of the commencement of work, it's in different stages, meaning it's different packages that have been allocated. So in those packages, there is a component of small businesses involved, communities also getting involved. And then as it continues to the N2 road as well, there is at the moment evaluation and adjudication of tenders. We will soon be appointing there as well in terms of the work to start. So it's quite a game changer, if I were to call it that. It's quite an important project. Okay, and I've got about 20 seconds, but that's just to figure out. The 50 billion rand is a big project on the N2 and the N3. Timeframes on when the project will be complete? Well, look, we're looking at 8 years from now, but there are projects that started in 2021. And those are to be completed in 2025, and those that started in 2022, we're looking at 2026. So there's, as I said to you, there's different stages of commencement, and the finishing date is obviously different. But we're looking at about 8 years from now. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We do appreciate your time, Mr. Collen Msibi, who is the spokesperson for the Department of Transport, and that's all.